When you hear alpha wolf, what comes to mind? The toughest, most aggressive leader? But what if everything you think about alphas is wrong? Let's explore how wolves really choose their leaders and what it reveals about the true meaning of power in the wild. Wolves are among the most iconic and enigmatic animals in the natural world. Their presence in folklore, mythology, and modern storytelling reflects the deep fascination humans have with them. But behind the myths and misconceptions lies a species that is complex, intelligent, and deeply social. Wolves are far more than the fierce predators or solitary lone wolves people often imagine. They are family oriented animals with intricate social dynamics, defined roles, and strong bonds. To truly understand wolves, we must delve into every aspect of their lives, from their biology and communication to their behavior, pack structure, and even the controversial and often misunderstood concept of the alpha wolf. The gray wolf, or Canis lupus, is the most widespread and best known species, though there are many subspecies adapted to different regions of the world. They are highly adaptable animals that have historically inhabited a vast range, including forests, tundras, deserts, and grasslands across North America, Europe, and Asia. Physically, wolves are built for endurance. They have long legs and large paws, ideal for traveling long distances across rough terrain. Their thick fur coats, which change seasonally, allow them to survive in harsh climates, while their strong jaws and sharp teeth make them formidable hunters. Social behavior is at the core of what makes wolves unique. They live in groups known as packs, typically composed of a mated pair and their offspring. These family units usually range from 5 to 12 individuals, though pack size can vary greatly depending on food availability and regional conditions. Unlike many animals, wolves do not form packs by random association. Their packs are usually nuclear families. The adult pair leads the pack not through brute strength or dominance, but through experience, cohesion, and cooperation. This brings us to one of the most persistent myths about wolves: the idea of the alpha as a dominant, aggressive leader who constantly asserts control over the others. This concept originally came from observing unrelated captive wolves forced to live together, creating an unnatural social dynamic. In the wild, however, the so-called alpha wolves are simply the parents of the pack. Their authority is derived not from constant physical challenges, but from their role as caretakers and experienced decision makers. The process of becoming an alpha, then, is not about defeating others in combat or climbing a hierarchy. It's about maturity, successful dispersal, and forming a new family. Young wolves typically stay with their birth pack for the first 1 to 3 years of their lives. Eventually, many of them disperse, leaving the pack to find a mate and establish a territory of their own. This stage is dangerous and lonely. Dispersers can travel hundreds of miles in search of the right conditions. If successful, they pair up with another dispersing wolf, and together they claim a territory and begin a new pack. These two wolves, now leading their own family, are what we might label as the alpha pair, but it's better understood as a breeding pair. Their leadership comes naturally from being the parents of the group. Life within the pack is governed by cooperation, not conflict. Wolves work together to raise pups, defend territory, and hunt. While there is a basic social structure, older wolves tend to have more influence, and certain individuals may assert themselves more often. Constant dominance struggles are rare. Pups learn their place within the group through play and observation. Older siblings often help raise new litters, bringing food and offering protection. It's this cooperative model that makes the pack function so effectively. Hunting is one of the most impressive displays of wolf cooperation. Wolves primarily hunt large ungulates, such as deer, elk, moose, and caribou. These animals are often bigger and faster than the wolves themselves, so teamwork is essential. Wolves use strategy, stamina, and knowledge of terrain to wear down their prey. A typical hunt begins with stalking. If the prey senses danger and flees, the wolves will pursue it, often for long distances. During the chase, they look for signs of weakness, an injury, a limp, or slower movement. Once the weakest individual is targeted, wolves surround and isolate it. The kill is quick when possible, and the entire pack feeds, often in a hierarchical order, but with some flexibility. Not all hunts are successful. In fact, most are not. Wolves may fail many times before landing a kill, which is why food scarcity is a constant threat, especially in winter. When prey is scarce, wolves rely on scavenging or smaller animals. They're opportunistic feeders, willing to eat carrion, rodents, birds, or even berries. However, their ideal diet revolves around large mammals, which provide the most calories per effort. Communication plays a vital role in keeping a wolf pack functioning. Wolves communicate through a range of vocalizations, body postures, facial expressions, and scent markings. The most famous vocalization is the howl. Howling serves multiple purposes: long-distance coordination, territorial warnings, and social bonding. Contrary to popular belief, wolves don't howl at the moon. They howl to each other. A lone wolf might howl to reconnect with a pack, while a group may howl together to strengthen bonds or warn intruders. Each wolf has a distinct voice, and experienced pack members can recognize one another by sound alone. Besides howling, wolves bark, whine, growl, yip, and whimper. Barking is rare and usually used in alarm situations. Growling can be a warning or a play signal, depending on context. Body language is just as important. A wolf holding its tail high may be asserting itself, while a tucked tail can indicate submission or fear. Raised hackles, exposed teeth, pinned ears. All these signals are used to avoid conflict and maintain harmony within the group. Scent is another key mode of communication. Wolves have scent glands on their paws, tails, and near the anus. They mark territory with urine and feces, leaving chemical messages for other wolves. A scent mark says, "We are here. This is ours. Stay away." These marks help maintain boundaries between packs and reduce the likelihood of violent encounters. Territoriality is crucial for wolves. Packs occupy large home ranges that can span 50 to 1,000 square miles, depending on the environment and prey density. Within this territory, the pack hunts, raises young, and lives out most of its daily activities. Encounters with other packs are dangerous and often fatal. Most wolf deaths are not caused by predators or starvation, but by other wolves during territorial disputes. Maintaining and defending territory is vital for survival. Reproduction occurs once a year, usually in late winter. The alpha, or more accurately, the breeding pair, is typically the only pair to mate, though exceptions occur, especially in large or unstable packs. The female gives birth to a litter of 4 to 6 pups after a gestation period of around 63 days. The den is carefully chosen for safety, often dug into a hillside, under a fallen tree, or within a natural cave. Pups are born blind and helpless, entirely dependent on their mother for the first few weeks. During this time, the rest of the pack supports the mother by hunting and bringing back food. When the pups begin to emerge from the den, usually at around 3 to 4 weeks old, they begin to interact with the rest of the pack. Socialization is critical. Through play, imitation, and gentle correction, they learn the behaviors that will carry them into adulthood. As the pups grow, they begin to accompany the adults on short trips, gradually building strength and skill. By late summer, they are weaned and eating regurgitated meat. By autumn, they begin to participate in hunts. Not all pups survive their first year. Disease, injury, starvation, or predation can claim many young wolves. Those who do survive begin to take on adult roles in the pack, often helping raise the next year's litter. Dispersal is a pivotal moment in a wolf's life. Around 1 to 3 years old, many young wolves leave their natal pack. This is not due to rejection, but to avoid inbreeding and find reproductive opportunities elsewhere. Dispersing wolves travel vast distances, often alone, sometimes for months or even years. Some die during this time. Others find a mate and establish a new pack. It is through this process that the cycle begins anew, and it's how wolves become alphas. By surviving dispersal, finding a partner, and starting their own family. Mortality is a constant presence in a wolf's life. Besides starvation and conflict with other wolves, wolves face dangers from humans, including hunting, vehicle collisions, poisoning, and habitat destruction. In many regions, wolves were nearly eradicated during the 19th and 20th centuries, driven by fear, myth, and livestock protection. Conservation efforts in recent decades have led to partial recoveries in some areas, but wolves remain controversial in human-dominated landscapes. Where wolves have returned, they have reshaped ecosystems in profound ways, such as in Yellowstone National Park, where their reintroduction helped balance elk populations and allowed overgrazed vegetation to recover. Intelligence is another defining trait of wolves. They solve problems, adapt to changing environments, and even exhibit behaviors that suggest empathy and foresight. Wolves have been observed caring for injured pack members, mourning the loss of companions, and adjusting strategies when hunts fail. Their social intelligence is remarkable, understanding relationships, managing tension, and maintaining cohesion in complex groups. Wolves are not the bloodthirsty villains of fairy tales, nor are they simple animals, driven only by instinct. They are nuanced, emotionally rich creatures whose lives are governed by family, survival, and cooperation. Understanding the truth about wolves not only helps us see them more clearly, but also reveals a reflection of ourselves, our capacity for loyalty, love, adaptability, and resilience. They are not defined by dominance, but by devotion, not by hierarchy, but by harmony. The story of the wolf is not a tale of the strong ruling the weak, but of families surviving together in the wild. A reminder that leadership is not always about power, but about care, experience, and connection. The so-called alpha is not a tyrant, it is a parent. And in that truth lies the real majesty of the wolf. The deeper we explore the world of wolves, the more we come to understand that they are not merely defined by their physical attributes or hunting prowess, but by the intricate web of behaviors, relationships, and adaptations that govern their daily lives. Every aspect of a wolf's existence is interconnected, and these connections extend beyond the pack itself, to the environment, to other species, and even indirectly to human communities. One of the most overlooked aspects of wolf life is their emotional range. While it's easy to view wolves through a lens of biological instinct, hunting to eat, mating to reproduce, their behavior suggests something much more profound. Wolves demonstrate affection, loyalty, grief, curiosity, fear, and joy. These emotions are not projections of human sentimentality. They are grounded in observable behaviors. Wolves have been seen licking and nuzzling each other during greetings, engaging in elaborate play that mirrors joy and trust, and even remaining near deceased pack members for extended periods, refusing to leave. Such behavior suggests a depth of feeling that complicates the simplistic predator label so often applied to them. Play, especially, is a critical part of wolf life. It is not reserved for pups alone. Adults frequently engage in play as a means of reinforcing social bonds, relieving stress, and practicing skills. Wolves chase, wrestle, and mock fight, sometimes with exaggerated movements and vocalizations that signal fun rather than aggression. These behaviors strengthen the trust within the pack and provide a social outlet that enhances cohesion. Even serious wolves, worn by the demands of leadership or survival, will engage in these light-hearted moments, a testament to the multifaceted nature of their emotional world. Conflict resolution is another domain in which wolves exhibit emotional intelligence. When tension arises, wolves rely on postures and signals to diffuse it before it escalates. Submissive behaviors, such as crouching, tail tucking, licking the muzzle of another wolf, are common tools used to express respect and avoid confrontation. Aggression, when it occurs, is usually short-lived and rarely results in serious injury. Instead of relying on violence, wolves often maintain order through subtle cues and social awareness. The idea that wolf packs are constantly engaged in dominance battles is a misrepresentation. Their true nature leans toward diplomacy over disorder. The development of pups offers a unique window into the learning process within a pack. Young wolves are not born with a full set of survival skills. Instead, they acquire them gradually through observation and participation. Older siblings, often referred to as helpers, play a crucial role in the education of younger pups. These helpers teach through example, bringing food, demonstrating how to respond to threats, and participating in hunting drills disguised as play. This shared responsibility benefits both the pups and the helpers, reinforcing bonds and preparing the entire pack for future challenges. One fascinating aspect of wolf behavior is their use of memory and experience. Wolves do not rely solely on instinct. They learn from events and adjust their strategies accordingly. A failed hunt may lead to a change in tactics. A past encounter with a rival pack can influence future territorial patrols. Wolves remember trails, danger zones, and successful hunting grounds. They retain social memories too, recognizing pack members even after long separations. These cognitive abilities are a testament to their adaptability and their capacity to survive in ever-changing conditions. Ecologically, wolves serve as keystone predators. Their role in ecosystems is far-reaching, and the presence or absence of wolves can create cascading effects that shape the environment itself. This phenomenon was famously observed in Yellowstone National Park after wolves were reintroduced in the 1990s. With wolves present, elk populations became more dynamic, avoiding overgrazing in river valleys. As a result, vegetation like willow and aspen began to recover. which in turn supported the return of beavers, birds, and fish. This ecological chain reaction, sometimes referred to as a trophic cascade, demonstrated the profound influence wolves have, not just on their prey, but on the entire ecosystem. This ecological importance challenges the common narrative of wolves as mere killers. Instead, they are regulators, keeping herbivore populations in balance, promoting biodiversity, and maintaining the health of wild habitats. Even scavengers like ravens and bears benefit from wolf kills, which provide food during lean seasons. The web of interactions stemming from wolves' presence proves that their value extends far beyond the boundaries of the pack. Still, wolves often find themselves at odds with human interests, especially in areas where livestock and agriculture dominate. The tension between wolves and ranchers is a persistent issue in wildlife management. Though wolves kill relatively few livestock animals overall, even a single incident can provoke strong reactions. Livestock losses, real or perceived, fuel efforts to remove or kill wolves, often backed by public pressure, misinformation, or outdated attitudes. To mitigate conflict, conservationists and ranchers have explored various coexistence strategies. Non-lethal deterrents such as guard dogs, fladry, flags strung along fences, noisemakers, and improved herding techniques have shown success in some regions. Compensation programs for ranchers who lose livestock to wolves also help reduce animosity, though they're not always enough to shift public perception. Education plays a crucial role in this equation. The more people understand about wolf behavior and ecology, the more they are likely to support balanced conservation approaches. The reintroduction and recovery of wolves also raise important questions about wilderness, restoration, and the role of humans in shaping ecosystems. In many ways, wolves symbolize the wild itself, untamed, elusive, and self-regulating. Their return to landscapes once devoid of apex predators challenges us to reconsider how we define coexistence. Should wilderness be a place where humans dominate, or can we share it with species that once thrived without us? Wolves force us to confront this question, not just in policy, but in philosophy. Wolves have left an indelible mark on human culture for thousands of years. Ancient tribes revered them as totems of strength and endurance. Norse mythology featured Fenrir, the giant wolf fated to fight the gods during Ragnarok. In Roman legend, the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus, were suckled by a she-wolf. Native American stories often portray wolves as teachers or guides, reflecting respect and reverence. But not all depictions were kind. European folklore, steeped in fear and superstition, painted wolves as evil, bloodthirsty creatures. Tales of werewolves and monstrous beasts fed a centuries-long campaign of eradication that nearly wiped out wolves from many parts of the world. Even today, the wolf is a symbol with dual meanings. For some, it represents danger, unpredictability, and threat. For others, it symbolizes freedom, wildness, and loyalty. This duality speaks more about humans than wolves. Our conflicting emotions toward them reflect our own internal struggles between fear and understanding, between dominance and coexistence. The modern wolf lives at the crossroads of myth and reality, of nature and politics. In the United States, wolves are subject to shifting legal protections depending on administration, region, and public pressure. The Endangered Species Act has provided critical safeguards in some areas, but delisting efforts, often driven by political and economic interests, place wolf populations at risk. Scientific research overwhelmingly supports the ecological value of wolves, yet decisions about their future often ignore that evidence in favor of short-term human concerns. Globally, wolves face a patchwork of protections and persecutions. In some countries like Germany and Italy, wolves are recolonizing areas where they had vanished for centuries. In others, like Russia and parts of the Middle East, they are heavily hunted. Canada supports robust wolf populations in remote regions, while in places like India and Iran, wolves face severe pressure from expanding human populations. The fate of wolves ultimately depends on the willingness of humans to share space, to see the wolf not as a threat to control, but as a fellow inhabitant of the earth. Wolf conservation is not just about preserving a species, it's about preserving a relationship between predator and prey, between landscape and wildlife, and between human beings and the natural world. To save wolves is to affirm that wildness has value beyond utility, that ecosystems are more than resources to be managed, and that our place in the world includes responsibility, not just dominion. One of the most compelling areas of recent research focuses on individual personalities within wolf packs. Not all wolves behave the same way, even within a given role. Some are bolder, more adventurous, more nurturing, or more cautious. These differences influence hunting strategies, social dynamics, and the resilience of the pack. A bold wolf might be the first to explore a new territory, while a cautious one might serve as a sentinel, keeping watch during rest. These personality traits suggest a level of individuality often denied to wild animals. Understanding these personalities can aid in conservation efforts. Knowing that certain wolves are more likely to disperse, for instance, can help wildlife managers predict pack changes and population growth. Tracking technology, such as GPS collars, has revolutionized our understanding of wolf movements, revealing migration routes, denning sites, and interaction zones that were previously inaccessible to researchers. This data helps inform smarter, more humane wildlife policies that consider both wolves and the humans who live near them. Human perceptions of wolves are evolving, albeit slowly. Education programs, documentaries, and ecotourism are changing minds and shifting narratives. Seeing a wolf in the wild is a transformative experience for many people. It awakens a sense of awe and connection, a reminder that not all beauty can be domesticated or controlled. Wolves speak to something ancient in us, a memory of the forests we once walked, the wild we once knew. And yet, wolves are not just a symbol. They are living, breathing animals, facing real threats and real challenges. They do not howl for our admiration or live to fulfill our legends. They are survivors, navigating a world shaped by human hands. Their continued existence depends not on their ability to adapt, though they are remarkably adaptable, but on our willingness to see them for what they truly are: complex, intelligent, social, and essential. In the world of wolves, leadership is not loud. It does not boast or bully. It protects, nurtures, guides. It grows from experience and earns the respect of others through action and wisdom. The process of becoming an alpha is not a conquest, but a journey. Leaving home, braving the unknown, and creating something new. This is the wolf's way. It's a lesson, perhaps, for us as well. In the end, the story of the wolf is not one of savagery or domination. It is a story of family, survival, resilience, and balance. It is the story of how strength can be quiet, how leadership can be gentle, and how even in the fiercest of beings, there is room for care, loyalty, and love. Wolves endure. Through persecution and myth, through famine and fire, they endure. Their tracks crisscross frozen valleys and sun-baked plains. Their howls echo in canyons and forests, not as warnings of danger, but as songs of presence, a voice that says, "We are still here." And perhaps in their endurance, they remind us how to endure as well. To understand wolves fully, we must not only look at their social structures and emotional complexity, but also explore how they interact with the world around them, how their senses shape their experience, how their bodies have adapted over millennia, and how each piece of their anatomy serves a purpose honed by evolution. Wolves are not only emotionally intelligent and behaviorally rich, they are physically engineered for survival. Their senses are extraordinarily keen. A wolf's sense of smell is its primary tool for understanding the world. With an estimated 200 million scent cells, compared to about 5 million in humans, wolves can detect prey from over a mile away, sense chemical signals in urine and feces, and track wounded animals through dense terrain and across great distances. Scent also plays a huge role in social communication. Wolves can discern identity, reproductive status, stress levels, and health through smell. This olfactory landscape provides information we can barely imagine, a constant stream of environmental data helping them navigate their vast world. Their hearing is equally impressive. Wolves can detect frequencies up to 80 kilohertz, far beyond the range of human hearing. This allows them to detect prey rustling in the underbrush, even when hidden by trees or snow. Long-distance howling is also enhanced by this hearing capacity. Wolves can hear the howls of their packmates from 6 to 10 miles away under the right conditions. This auditory connection becomes crucial during hunts, territorial patrols, or when regrouping after separation. Their eyesight is adapted for low-light conditions. As crepuscular hunters, active mostly at dawn and dusk, wolves rely on enhanced night vision. Their eyes contain a high number of rod cells and a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum, which gives their eyes a glowing appearance at night and amplifies ambient light. Though their color vision is limited compared to ours, wolves excel at detecting movement, an ability that helps them spot fleeing prey even in dense forest. The physical design of a wolf is tailored for endurance rather than brute force. They are not sprinters like big cats. Instead, wolves are marathon runners. Their long legs and narrow chests reduce energy use during travel, allowing them to cover up to 30 miles in a single day when necessary. They trot at a steady pace of about 5 miles per hour and can reach speeds up to 40 miles per hour in short bursts. Their large paws act like snowshoes in winter, spreading out to distribute weight and provide traction. Webbing between the toes allows for better stability in deep snow and mud. Their coat is another marvel of evolution. Wolves grow 2 layers of fur, a dense, insulating undercoat, and longer guard hairs that repel water and snow. The coat thickens in the fall and sheds in the spring, adapting to seasonal changes. In colder regions, wolves can survive temperatures as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Their thick fur, combined with behavioral adaptations, like curling up with tails over noses, keeps them warm in even the harshest winters. The wolf's jaw and teeth are built for strength. With a bite force of over 400 pounds per square inch, they can crush bones to access marrow, a critical nutrient source, especially in winter. Their dentition includes sharp carnassial teeth for shearing flesh, long canines for gripping, and powerful molars for grinding. When feeding, wolves gorge themselves, consuming up to 20 pounds in a single sitting. They may then go days without eating again. This feast or famine rhythm is a key part of their survival strategy. Wolves are also incredibly adaptable in terms of habitat. They can survive in boreal forests, tundras, deserts, and mountains. Their historical range once spanned most of the northern hemisphere. Though habitat loss and persecution have drastically reduced this range, wolves continue to prove their resilience by recolonizing areas previously thought unsuitable. Urban expansion and human encroachment create challenges, but wolves have shown surprising flexibility in how and where they travel, avoiding roads, adjusting activity patterns, and even occasionally navigating near human settlements without being seen. This adaptability is particularly evident in the behavioral diversity among different populations of wolves. For instance, coastal wolves in British Columbia have been observed feeding primarily on marine resources like fish and seals, even swimming from island to island. Arctic wolves have adapted to prey on muskoxen and caribou in treeless tundra environments, often dealing with total darkness for months. Mexican wolves, the smallest subspecies, inhabit desert mountain ranges and prey on smaller ungulates like mule deer. These examples show how different environments shape not only what wolves eat, but how they live, interact, and organize. Despite this adaptability, wolves are deeply vulnerable to human activity. Habitat fragmentation, vehicle collisions, illegal poaching, and the expansion of livestock farming all pose significant threats. One of the less visible but highly damaging consequences of human development is the fragmentation of wolf territory. Wolves require large, contiguous habitats to maintain healthy populations. When roads, fences, cities, and agricultural fields cut across natural landscapes, wolves are forced into smaller, more isolated pockets. This reduces gene flow, increases conflict with humans, and weakens the ecological role wolves play. One of the least appreciated aspects of wolf life is the quiet intelligence they display in navigating these challenges. Wolves often avoid roads, travel at night to evade detection, and even alter their routes after a member of the pack has been killed in a specific area. These behaviors suggest a level of learning and adaptation that goes beyond instinct. Wolves learn from each other. They remember dangers. They adjust to shifting conditions in ways that resemble flexible problem solving. And yet, many wolves do not survive. The average lifespan of a wild wolf is only 5 to 7 years, though they can live over a decade in rare cases. Causes of death include starvation, injury during hunts, disease, interpack conflict, and increasingly, human-related mortality. Collars and tracking data reveal that many dispersing wolves, those leaving their natal packs to start new ones, never succeed. The risks of isolation, territory disputes, and human encounters claim many before they can ever settle. Still, some make it. These wolves, through sheer endurance and a bit of luck, find suitable habitat, locate a mate, and begin the process of forming a new pack. This brings us back to the concept of the alpha. In a newly formed pack, there's no struggle for power, no battle for dominance. There's only cooperation. The two dispersing wolves bond, claim territory, and raise their first litter. Over time, As their offspring grow and new litters are born, they become the center of a new social structure. The leadership they exhibit is subtle but vital. They choose when and where to move. They decide when to hunt. They initiate greetings and discipline unruly pups. But they do not rule with force. Their authority is rooted in experience and in the role they play as parents. Over years, a pack may remain stable or change dramatically. Dispersers may come and go. Young wolves may leave and return. Sometimes a mate dies, and the surviving wolf finds a new partner. If a breeding wolf is killed, a son or daughter may take their place. In this way, pack leadership can evolve naturally without violence or drama. When observers refer to alpha wolves, they often miss this nuance. Leadership is not a title seized by conflict, but a role formed by function. In large packs, there may be tension between maturing subordinates, especially if breeding opportunities are limited. In some cases, younger wolves may attempt to mate within the pack, though this is usually discouraged through behavioral pressure rather than violence. Occasionally, a subordinate female may give birth, but her pups rarely survive unless the pack is unusually stable and food is abundant. This natural form of reproductive suppression serves to keep the pack focused on a single, strong litter, improving the survival chances for everyone. While the breeding pair leads the pack, every member has a role. Some are scouts, ranging ahead during travel. Others are hunters, tracking and flanking prey. Some act as guardians, staying behind to protect pups or defend the den. Older wolves, even if they are no longer active hunters, provide knowledge and stability. The loss of an experienced member can weaken a pack far beyond what numbers alone would suggest. Like any family, a wolf pack's strength lies not just in size, but in trust, memory, and cohesion. The concept of hierarchy in wolves has long been misunderstood. What we observe in wild packs is closer to a family dynamic than a dominance ladder. Authority is situational and often unspoken. A younger wolf might lead a chase, while an elder initiates the retreat. Decisions are collective, fluid, and based on circumstance. This flexibility is key to survival in a world that changes daily. The myth of the lone wolf also deserves clarification. Dispersing wolves are often called lone wolves, but this is a temporary and transitional state. Wolves are not loners by nature. They are driven to form bonds, to belong to a group. A lone wolf is searching for a territory, a mate, a chance to start a pack. This journey may be solitary, but it is not the goal. When successful, the lone wolf becomes a founder. From solitude comes a new family, and thus the cycle continues. Across the globe, researchers are now studying wolves, not only for their ecological role, but for what they can teach us about social behavior, learning, and cooperation. Wolves are becoming models in comparative studies with dogs, shedding light on how domestication shaped behavior. Wolves raised in socialized environments display remarkable responsiveness to humans, yet remain distinct from dogs in key ways. They are more independent, less eager to please, but still capable of understanding cues, solving problems, and building relationships with human caregivers. This research has helped debunk the idea that wolves are aggressive or untrainable. It also highlights the unique social flexibility that allowed dogs to evolve from wolves thousands of years ago. Yet despite the shared ancestry, wolves remain very much their own species, wild, independent, and guided by ancient instincts. refined through complex experience. In the wild, wolves rarely cross paths with humans. They are shy, secretive animals who prefer to avoid contact. When seen, they are often misunderstood. Their presence can trigger fear, fascination, or awe, depending on cultural and personal context. But the truth is, wolves are neither monsters nor saints. They are animals, highly intelligent, highly social, and highly misunderstood. They navigate a world shaped by human influence, yet still hold on to something wild and old. Their howls still rise through night air. Their tracks still cross snowy valleys. And in those howls, in those tracks, we find something rare, a glimpse of nature unfiltered, unsimplified, and unafraid to be itself. Wolves remind us of what it means to live in relationship with others, with the land, with the past, and the future. Their lives are not ruled by dominance or fear, but by connection, adaptability, and resilience. They are not perfect, but they are balanced. Not tame, but not savage either. Simply wild in the truest sense of the word. In that wildness lies something we have almost forgotten: the value of family not bound by blood, the importance of place not measured in ownership, and the power of presence not defined by control. The wolf survives not because it is the strongest, but because it remembers, it adapts, and it endures together. The wolf's story is one of survival, ancient, ongoing, and intertwined with the very fabric of the ecosystems they inhabit. And as we reach the end of this deep dive into the life of wolves, it's clear that their significance cannot be reduced to a few traits or behaviors. To understand wolves is to enter the world of instinct, blended with experience, of emotion filtered through strategy, and of existence sharpened by constant pressure. They are more than predators. They are engineers of balance, stewards of wild places, and reflections of nature's resilience. Perhaps one of the most poignant realities about wolves is how fragile their existence has become, despite their adaptability. Even as they continue to reclaim parts of their historic range, many populations are vulnerable, genetically isolated, persecuted, and hemmed in by a world that has little room left for apex predators. In some areas, their survival hinges on legal protection. In others, it relies on changing public perception. And in many cases, it depends on the actions of a few individuals who choose to protect rather than destroy. Wolves are protected in some parts of the world and targeted in others. Management plans vary wildly, from full legal protection to sanctioned hunts. In the United States, for example, wolves in Yellowstone and parts of the northern Rockies are thriving under protection. Yet in neighboring states, they may be shot on sight once they cross park boundaries. In Europe, wolves are recolonizing areas where they haven't been seen for centuries, bringing both hope and tension to rural communities. In parts of Asia, they are still hunted as pests. Each region tells a different story of wolves, some recovering, some declining, all shaped by human values and decisions. One of the most telling aspects of how societies treat wolves is how we talk about them. Language reveals perspective. In some circles, wolves are still called vermin or threats. In others, they are hailed as keystone species or guardians of the wild. These words matter. They influence policy, shape education, and guide public sentiment. Shifting the narrative around wolves, from fear to respect, from myth to science, is as important as any conservation effort. Without public support, legal protection is fleeting. Without understanding, coexistence is impossible. Education plays a critical role in reshaping these narratives. Programs that bring the reality of wolf life into classrooms, parks, and online platforms help dissolve centuries of misunderstanding. When people learn that wolves avoid humans, that they don't kill for sport, that they form tight-knit family units and play, mourn, and raise their young with care, their perception begins to change. Wolves stop being symbols of savagery and begin to be seen as sentient beings deserving of space and consideration. Ecotourism has also become a powerful tool for conservation. In areas where wolf watching is possible, such as Yellowstone National Park, visitors from around the world come hoping to catch a glimpse of a wild pack. This influx of interest brings not only economic benefits to local communities, but also fuels a sense of pride and protection for the animals. Wolves become an asset, not an adversary. And as their presence begins to be valued, tolerance increases. But ecotourism is only viable where wolves are visible, where the land is open, and where human-wolf conflicts are minimal. In regions where livestock ranching dominates, or where wolves are feared, the story is very different. Here, wolves must remain invisible to survive. They travel at night, avoid open spaces, and learn to read human patterns. In some areas, this stealth becomes a form of wisdom, passed down through generations. Wolves adapting not just to nature, but to human hostility. This adaptation extends into their social behaviors. Packs living closer to human settlements may hunt smaller prey, avoid predictable travel routes, and teach their pups to fear unfamiliar scents and sounds. This knowledge becomes embedded in the culture of the pack, shaping future generations. These cultural behaviors, traditions passed from one wolf to another, demonstrate how deeply social learning influences wolf life. It's not just biology, it's experience, memory, and innovation. Wolves, it turns out, have culture, and that culture can vary from pack to pack, region to region. In the Canadian Rockies, some packs specialize in hunting mountain goats, scaling near vertical cliffs. In the Alaskan tundra, others follow migratory caribou over hundreds of miles. Coastal wolves fish in rivers and scavenge from tide pools. These behaviors are not innate. They are taught. Older wolves pass them on through demonstration, trial and error, and reinforcement. This cultural knowledge is vital to survival, and its loss, through death, displacement, or fragmentation, can be devastating. One of the most powerful examples of this came from a study in Scandinavia, where a single wolf, having traveled over 500 miles from Russia, joined an inbred Scandinavian population and revitalized it genetically. His arrival, mating success, and the survival of his offspring helped restore genetic health to the population. This lone wolf, acting on instinct and endurance, not only found a new home, but changed the fate of an entire lineage. It is a reminder that every wolf matters, not just to its own pack, but to the larger ecological and genetic web. And this is where we begin to see wolves as individuals, not just representatives of a species. Each wolf has a story. Some are born into stable packs, raised by experienced parents, and live long lives. Others disperse early, face danger alone, and never find a mate. Some become founders, some become helpers, some become lost. Their fates are as diverse as their personalities, shaped by terrain, timing, weather, chance, and choice. Each howl in the dark is not just a call to others, It's an echo of experience. For humans, hearing a wolf howl can be a deeply emotional moment. It evokes something primal, a connection to our ancient past when we too lived closer to the rhythms of the land. It's a sound that defies domestication, that pierces the noise of modern life with something older and truer. The howl says, "We are here." It is both a warning and a song, a territorial marker and a family greeting. Wolves howl when they reunite, when they patrol, when they mourn, and sometimes, it seems, when they simply want to express their presence. This presence, this raw, wild being, is what makes wolves both feared and revered. They represent autonomy, self-reliance, and interdependence all at once. They don't ask for permission, yet they live with rules. They take life to survive, but not without reason. They care for their own, but fiercely defend their boundaries. They are teachers in a way, not because they intend to be, but because their way of life holds lessons for anyone willing to listen. Wolves teach us about leadership, how it can be earned through care rather than control. They teach us about cooperation, that survival is rarely a solo endeavor. They teach us about resilience, how to keep going when the odds are against you. And they teach us about presence, to be fully attuned to the moment, to your pack, to your place. We can learn much from wolves, but only if we allow them to live. Coexistence requires humility. It means understanding that we are not the only species with needs, dreams, and families. It means making space, not just physically, but ethically, for other ways of being. It means admitting that we do not always know best, and that wildness has its own wisdom. In recent years, science has helped shift our understanding of wolves. Long-term studies in Yellowstone, Scandinavia, Canada, and beyond have painted a much clearer picture of wolf life. We now know how critical family structure is. We understand the consequences of removing key members from packs. We see how population health depends not only on numbers, but on relationships, continuity, and knowledge transfer. The science is clear. Wolves do best when left intact, when allowed to be themselves, without disruption or artificial interference. Yet, this science is often ignored. Management plans based on outdated notions of dominance, control, and population caps do more harm than good. Killing alpha wolves can dismantle a pack, leaving pups to starve and destabilizing territories. Hunting wolves indiscriminately disrupts social cohesion and may even lead to increased livestock predation, as younger, less experienced wolves make riskier choices. The best protection is not just legislation, it is understanding. As with many large predators, fear drives much of the opposition to wolves. But data consistently shows that the actual risk wolves pose to humans is incredibly low. Wild wolves almost never attack people. The rare cases where they do usually involve habituated or sick animals. Livestock losses are statistically minimal when compared to other causes like weather, disease, and accidents. The fear is cultural, not factual. And that fear can be replaced with knowledge, empathy, and respect. The future of wolves is not guaranteed. Climate change, habitat loss, political instability, and social polarization all threaten their survival. But they have allies: scientists, conservationists, wildlife advocates, educators, and everyday people who believe in their value. And they have strength, the strength of their bonds, the adaptability of their minds, and the tenacity of their lineage. They have walked this earth for thousands of years, shaping landscapes, inspiring stories, and enduring persecution. And still, they return. Still, they thrive where we allow them. Still, they howl. So, what is the wolf, really? The wolf is a parent, raising its young in hidden dens beneath the roots of trees. The wolf is a hunter, reading the wind, feeling the snow beneath its pads, knowing the movements of elk like the beat of a drum. The wolf is a traveler, crossing mountains and rivers in search of new beginnings. The wolf is a student, watching, learning, remembering. The wolf is a teacher, not through words, but through example, through presence, through care, through the rhythm of pack life. The wolf is a survivor, not because it dominates, but because it belongs to a pack, to a place, to a purpose. And perhaps above all, the wolf is a mirror. It shows us what we've lost, what we still have, and what we might become again if we remember how to live with one another, how to listen to the land, and how to lead not through fear, but through connection. The wolf remains, quiet in the shadows, sharp in the wind, steadfast in the snow. And as long as wolves remain, so too does the wild. Wolves remind us of the power of unity, resilience, and the wild spirit that still roams the forests. Whether leading a pack or roaming alone, their story is one of survival and connection. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of wolves. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the wild.